We have the pleasure of welcoming Robin Kiera today to our interview series. I'm Aishwarya Jain from the peopleHum team. Before we begin, just a quick intro of peopleHum. peopleHum is an end-to-end, one-view integrated human capital management automation platform, the winner of the 2019 Global Cody Award for HCM that is specifically built for crafted employee experiences and the future of work with AI and automation technologies. We run the peopleHum blog and video channel, which receives upwards of 200,000 visitors a year and publish around 2 interviews with well-known names globally every month. And now for our guest, Dr. Robin Kiera has worked in several management positions in insurance and finance. Kiera is a renowned insurance and insurtech expert. He regularly speaks at technology conferences around the world as a keynote or panelist. He is a #1 fintech influencer in Germany and belongs to the top 10 insurtech influencers worldwide. He's also the author of digital scouting blogs. We're happy to have someone of his stature on our interview series today. Welcome, Robin. We're thrilled to have you.
Thank you very much for having an insurance and finance nerd on board. I'm really appreciating that.
Oh, well, it's our pleasure, Robin. So, Robin, tell us a little about your journey so far. What led you to this amazing place that you're right now at?
So I'm actually a recovering insurance sales agent. So I sold insurance in the street of Hamburg for quite some time. I went to several managerial positions in insurance and finance. I went to startups when it was not cool to work for startups. My boss at the large insurer actually asked me, "And to which department are you changing?" I'm like, "No, I'm not changing. I'm leaving." And he was like totally in disbelief. And I even did not tell him that I went to a startup because he would have probably called the company doctor and checked me on mental illness. But I went to the startup, which exploded from 0 to 1,200 people. We built products that made billions in revenue. I did not have any shares in the company, which was sold for several hundred million euros. So I still need to work. And I also went to the finance industry, to a private bank, and led the digital and product development there. We also again built a app that made $1 billion in assets under information. Again, no shares, so that's my story. But what is digital scouting? So at some point, I was really annoyed by old white men in insurance and finance, especially in insurance, a few years ago, totally neglecting what's going on with the internet, the change of customer behavior. I mean, there were C-suits out there that said, "We're never going to do an app because we don't believe in the phone and everybody loves going to the agent." So totally delusional. And I was the guy on stage saying, calling out the elephants in the room. Why? Because, I built these other 2 apps, of course, as part of a great team, but nevertheless, I thought, if I never get a job in this industry, I don't care, I will find something. But I need to really speak about these topics because you're risking hundreds of thousands of jobs by not facing the new reality, actually. And since I came from the industry, the people actually listened. So what happened was, at some point, I founded digital scouting as a blog. It exploded, 10,000 of followers, millions of views each month, unbelievable, YouTube, all over the place. And we have also team members that really support all of that. So it's not only me. And at some point, insurers and banks came to me and said, "Robin, maybe we did not laugh about everything you said on stage, but companies help us." And out of that, we have now projects at insurers and banks where we try to help them with a digital strategy, with digital products, or with what we call attention hacking. So we're now a small company. But funnily enough, the blog came out of the company came out of the blog, and not the blog out of the company, how it's normally done. So that's our story. And we are about 20 people, trying to help insurers and banks and insurtechs, but also other industries the best we can.
Wow, that's wonderful. And too bad you did not have the shares. But I think that's okay. You're at a good place right now.
That's what my wife always says too.
Absolutely. And you talked about something called as attention hacking. Can you tell us what exactly is that?
Yeah, so what is the idea is, back in the days, you just produce some sort of marketing material and you would just throw it out there. But what happened over the last years is that the attention of humans changed. And we know, okay, at the end consumer in the B2C market, that has changed. But funnily enough, a lot of people think human research employees did not change, or B2B decision makers, that they are somehow still reading white papers of 500 pages and books and all of that. But that's not true. They're also hanging around on Instagram or TikTok or LinkedIn. We have been exploding on these platforms, and also in a super small niche, which is insurance and finance professionals, which is, nobody comes home and says, oh, honey, let's look at our insurance folder, or honey, let's look at our account bank statement. Nobody does this. And still you can grow in these niches. And what we show with that is that you need to hack the attention of your target group. You need to look, where is the attention of your target group? Where are they? What kind of content are they consuming? And where? Great story how not to do it is, for example, the new commercial by Allianz. They hired a super celebrity, Usain Bolt, unbelievable role model, unbelievable what he has achieved in his life, no doubt about it. But what did they do? They made a commercial where he was running around all the time, and in the end they showed the Allianz logo. It has nothing to do with, this doesn't deliver any value to the customer. No, it doesn't help me in my life to, I don't know, go through the financial crisis. It's just nice pictures and a logo. This is old school. You can burn a lot of money with that. That's totally fine, and you can get a lot of KPIs with that, because there's a whole industry out there that still produces boring content that doesn't help anybody, and make a lot of money. That's okay. But our approach is, where is the attention, and to deliver value. So what we would have advised Allianz to do, not spending 10 million euros on that, is producing not one video, but producing 5,000 videos. And I really mean this 5,000 videos, and to target different target groups and to deliver value. Not only say, you look how Usain Bolt was running, but how did Usain Bolt manage his money? What kind of insurance does he have? Or maybe not ask Usain Bolt, but a person like me, or some other regular person, or what do families do in these situations? And then go on the channels people watch. I mean, we have TV stations here. Nobody is watching anymore. Their demographic situation is a disaster. They're 60 plus, 70 plus. Okay, if you want to target that target group, go for TV. But most people are watching, Netflix and these crazy, and YouTube. And that's something we say they need to go. You need to look where's the attention of your customer, and then massively go after it. Like a deer hunter, it's like a hunter who's in the woods. He doesn't stare where the deer was last year. He goes, looks where the deer is, and then, gets the deer. I mean, that's like we should do in sales, but a lot of people are still doing it like 15, 20 years ago. And maybe one more thing, it's not only to go to the pond and use a bait for the fish, but actually to create a situation where the fish comes to you. That's what attention hacking does. You're so much constantly on the radar of your target group. That can be employees, that can be B2B decision makers, can be B2C customers. You're constantly on their mind. So in their moment of need, they think about you as a solution. And that's the difference. And then, because you're massively out there with content pieces that don't cost you 10 million a piece, but maybe 1,000, 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 matter, then they come to you. What was the magic in this situation is, before you have a target group of 1 million customers or 10,000 B2B decision makers in an industry. You need to go from door to door to door to door. And the 27 first people, nobody wanted to answer to you. That it costs you a lot of energy. What attention hacking does, you work these 10,000 people, and there may be 24 people that have a budget, that want to buy the stuff what you have. And then, because they know you, they come to you in the moment of their need. So that's instead of pushing into the market hardcore, they come to you. It takes some time, takes about 9, 12 months until you achieve this, but it's a luxury situation. I mean, I was an insurance sales agent. I had phone number lists. I called people. Nobody wanted to see me. Nobody likes this insurance guy on their couch when they come home from work and the children are just into bed. Nobody wants that. But it's super hard. I would have given probably my hand if I would have had a magic solution where the clients are actually calling me. And that's what attention hacking does. And we have proof of that. And we are doing it ourselves, so.
Right. So it's just not about going to the fish pond, but even attracting the fish. And is that exactly why you're also on TikTok? What's the strategy behind that?
Well, first of all, when I heard the first time about TikTok, I was reacting as everybody else. I was saying, oh, that's only for young people. This is stupid. And I was like, Robin, you're talking to all these decision makers, always telling they shouldn't react to that, like to YouTube and LinkedIn and all of that. And now you're reacting the same way to this new thing. That's something, and I saw media saying, oh, it's dangerous, it's bad. The same stuff they said about Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube like 10, 15 years ago. So I was like, okay, I need to test it. I need to have my own opinion. And then we made our first videos and I saw what kind of large organic reach you can get. I mean, our first videos had like 100,000, 200,000 views, unbelievable. And so I tried it out over, I think, 2 or 3 months, really intensely. We got 1 million views, 100,000, I think 80,000 or 70,000 likes, which is unbelievable. And we had talked only about boring insurance topics or some funny stuff. You know, it's nothing. I mean, I'm not a Russian model. You know, I'm not a sports person. I'm not funny. So it's really like boring content, but we still got a lot of reach. And I wanted to have a personal opinion about it before I say it's something good for my clients or not. And that's the reason why we're on space on TikTok.
That's very interesting. And do you think the same thing would work for any other industry? Like we're a tech company, would that work for us too?
I think so too. I would test it. I have a client who is a super niche insurer and targets people 50 plus, 40 plus, and they tested a TikTok and they discovered that their target group is on there. And they reach their target group for a fraction of the price they would need to invest in Facebook and other things, you know, so they can really, really reach the target group there for a fraction of the price. And you can win against your competitor. How? When you reach your clients or your leads way cheaper than your competitor does, then you can invest more, and then you can, then you can grow more at a lower price. I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Wow, that's very interesting. And how has the insurance and finance industry been responding to, the current situation?
Well, I think the very positive thing to start with, if you would have told me if the insurance industry and the finance industry would be able to transition within days into fully remote situation and not a single institution breaking down, I would have said that's impossible. I would have said half of them would be not capable of doing it, but they were. So I would say 90% at least the transition was, painful but possible, and they're working. What tells me that the insurance and finance industry is way more capable of doing change, but obviously it needs a pandemic to achieve it. So we have seen that. We have seen insurers and banks, but banks, for example, suspending payments on loans, on mortgages around the world. We've seen insurers around the world reducing premium by themselves, but only a few. So a large part is waiting. Why? I mean, now we're not driving so many cars. We're at home. What does that mean? Less car accidents. That means we are at home. Less burglaries, less home insurance cases. So probably a lot of lines of business will make a lot of money out of this because the level of risk reduces, but our premiums stay high. And only a few insurers actually lower the premium for their clients. So that's the situation there. And I'm curious how that's going to play out. And another big topic is business interruption policies, which is a super niche product. But now a lot of businesses are interrupted. But these policies were never made for pandemics, but actually for, I don't know, you have your business burns down, or you have a technical problem with your business, machine burned down, or there's a damage and you need to close for 5 days. That's what it was actually meant for. So, and now a lot of people say, I have this insurance, but insurers say, hey, it's excluded, or it's wishy-washy, it's probably not included, and some have it included, and they can face actually severe economic consequences.
Right, yeah, absolutely. And I think the consequences is something, the implications is something that we'll have to keep testing out as time goes by. And, because of the outbreak, a lot of dynamics have really changed. So what do you think is, the single most important thing that has changed and will stay like that even after the pandemic is over?
I can only express my hope. So I really hope that we keep our confidence, that we as nations around the world and industries around the world can face such a dramatic situation and really, we can adapt to it. We can go fully remote. We can uphold our businesses, at least for those who were allowed to do so. And I think we should really, really take this and not go back. And then the young person comes and says, we need to go do TikTok. And then the old senior VP just returning from home office says, okay, home office is okay now, but you know, this TikTok thing and this other new technology, we've never done it, our customers are not there, we should not do it, and have the old stupid arguments we had before. No, we should have now a different mindset, and the mindset of, we can do it. We can do the impossible. So why let's not do it? And why not conquer the world? So we reacted now to a crisis that if we would adapt the same strategies and the energy and the positivity to actually growing, I think a lot of industries could achieve growth unthinkable before. And I really hope that this positivity, that we turn this negative situation into a positive one.
Absolutely. And that is, I think you've mentioned a very beautiful quote by Mark Twain, which is, 20 years from now, you will be more disappointed by the things that you didn't do than by the ones you did. So I was just trying to understand your opinion on what is termed as the future of work, right? So do you think that we've already kind of moved to the future and we are kind of, already in a very different environment and it's going to stay like this, or will the definition again keep changing? What do you think?
Well, if I would know it, I don't have a glass bulb and see the future, but I think what we have seen is acceleration of the new work, the new normal. I mean, a few weeks ago, in large organizations, it was not possible to work from home. People were actually commuting 1.5 hours to their workplace in London, in Berlin, in all around the world. And I think that we will have a discussion about that. I think a lot of people will not return permanently to the headquarters. This is a positive thing. But on the other hand do these organizations have the culture to sustain this? I mean, if you have a super strong hierarchical, toxic, political culture in your company, you cannot let people work from home because they hate you as a company and they do whatever they want. So that's a big problem. But if you have a great company culture and you actually empower your people and all of that, then you can have a super ninja efficient mega company. Everybody works from home, no problem. Digital scouting, we are 20 people, but nobody, almost nobody here works in Hamburg. They're all over the world. So, and then they're super great doing crazy things. I just jumped off a call with Raul, which is our CEO, and he sits in the Philippines, and he does an amazing job there. But don't tell him. And other people there too. So that's the immediate thing I would take away from it, the future of work. I would really love to see more flexibility of that. And I would love actually to see a debate, what role does work have in the life of all of us? Because work is important, but actually work should lead to like liberation and not only sustain your family for the month or for the next month or for the year, but it should actually lead to your personal rise or to achieving your goals, whatever your goals are. And I think we have not had this discussion. What is the goal of everybody? What is your goal? What is my goal? How can we achieve it? How can a company help a person to achieve his financial, our family, a financial goal? I really like, there are different people out there that cover financial topics. Maybe Dave Ramsey, maybe he has a famous book in Germany called Big Five for Life. To really think about, it's not about the company getting something from the employee, that's important, but it's more, how can companies help employees to achieve their goals and become vehicles of them to achieve their goals? And I really would like to see this debate. I see super small starts of that, but on the other hand, we will have mass unemployment soon, I think, around the globe. Maybe this we will see, everybody fighting for us next day. We'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I think maybe one more thing. I think we will see more remote working. I think we will see more remote working across borders. I think we will see certain jobs being under pressure because they can be replaced by better people from somewhere else. I think we will see mass unemployment, which probably will slow down this effect, but it's the genie is out of the box.
And in your career lifetime, have you seen, so when I think of finance and insurance, I think of a lot of files and cabinets filled with files, right? I can't think of remote working. Now, has that changed in your lifetime? Have people adopted that style?
Well, some have. You have some players that, out of individual reasons over the last years, have been modernizing. You have seen smaller and mid-sized insurers and banks doing great jobs, And sometimes they have a lot, especially in Central Europe, they have very long, weird names with very old dates in it, but they're super modern. And for them, it was just a matter of minutes to switch to that. But you also have insurers that did not do their job, and banks, but especially insurers, which now have problems. And maybe it's not, the client doesn't see if a policy comes 8 weeks late or 6 weeks late or 2 weeks. I think it's all of that is horrible. So the client maybe does not feel it, but I'm more worried about that the regulator at some point says we cannot give somebody a license who's not capable of going remote fully. And it's like being sportive. If you have not done any sport for 10, 20, 30 years, and you're like, overweight, watching Netflix on the couch all day, and then somebody comes in and says, well, now it's time to run the marathon. Or you have somebody who has been training a lot and doing that and being very modest and humble about it. And who's going to make the race? Of course, a person who has been preparing, who has training, who has the knowledge, the skills, the capabilities. So we have those people in the place, but you also have those who have not done anything, or the person that has not been training but bought a jersey. Like open a lab in Berlin, visited San Francisco, and with ties that week, and feel very innovative, but did not change anything at their company. So I think Warren Buffett said, if the tide goes out, you see who has been swimming naked. I think this is also true for digital transformation in the insurance and finance industry today.
Yeah, absolutely makes sense. I think in a lot of countries, including India, a lot of people are still reluctant to use technology for their work, right? And you are a technology enthusiast, and I'd like to ask you, how important of a role will AI, automation, integrated platforms make in the inclusive workplace of the future?
Subject matter experts that type in the unstructured data into structured data, which was just printed out of a system that put structured data into unstructured data, and then they're putting unstructured data into structured data, and all of these things. I think this is already, it's like zombie tasks. They already did that. They will be replaced. It's just a question of time. And I think what employees should ask themselves, not to say, oh, I'm not going to do it, or they replace me, they put me out of work. Think about how can you provide value to your company, to your economy, and what can you learn today to be relevant tomorrow. If you stay there and you do not want to learn anything, you don't want to have new skills, you just defending, because you're very good at typing in this data and you know where to click and you know all the shortcuts and all of that, you will be out of job in a very short period of time. We should be very honest about that. So you should. So what I think about AI and platforms, that's the future. And it's already the future in other industries. I mean, look at e-commerce. Yeah, look at other industries, what they are doing. Look at big data analysis, customer analysis. Look at Google, Facebook, and all of this is reality already. Or the Chinese companies, it's reality. We just need to get our act together, and we can decide. We need to build our own capabilities. This is the same for Europe as for India. Because sooner or later the customer wants these tools. The people don't want to pay with cash anymore. Maybe some super old people or some people in our age group that feel fancy and feel critical and all of that. But you had also people that were against the trains. You had people that were against electricity, and you had these same discussions. I'm a historian by trade, You had these same discussions for the last 200 years against technology. They were people saying a train should never, never go faster than 30 kilometers per hour because you will be brain dead afterwards. Then you have the same people. And what I'm always find a little sad is these people slow down advancement. They don't hinder it. They will slow it down. And this costs the economies and the people a lot of money and a lot of opportunities, and families a lot of opportunities. And when people go in the marketplace and say these stupid things, they never have to bear the consequences. And that's what I'm really mad about. But we should not listen to them, ignore it. Of course, we need to be cautious as the technology is dangerous and really think about all of these things. But not a single argument has ever stopped the technological advancement if it saved the customer or the people time or made it more efficient.
Absolutely. Technology can really be an enabler. And I think that we just need to change mindsets, because I think I don't know what is it, it's a generational gap or just a mindset problem. Do you think that millennials and the Gen Z, they are much more open to this and they call out things more easily?
Well, it's not too hard to talk about a whole age group and put them into, buckets. That's totally unfair, and probably I'm going to be super unfair. What I found, since we also hire people in from these age groups, what I found to be very unfair and with prejudices. But if we even want to talk about that, we can. What I found sometimes is, yes, they are sometimes more inclined to use certain technology, but also very intolerant to people who do it in a different way, or they have, in my opinion, sometimes super fixed opinions about certain things, also about politics, about whatever. And I'm missing the let's hear what the other person has to say, or the willingness to say, maybe I'm wrong and maybe there's some facts out there. How can I get more facts to have an opinion that's based on facts and not just on feelings and emotions and whatever I think. Again, that's unfair, and probably there are a lot of smart people in this age group, hardworking out there, but I find that they're less tolerant and less open, actually.
So that makes a lot of sense. Absolutely. Do you think, do you also, well, what's your opinion about the gig economy? Is there a lot of prevalence of gig economy in insurance and finance industries?
What we see, the insurers and banks, they are using consultants a lot. I mean, that's our business model too. And they don't use the typical gig economy, like the one data scientists. Smaller insurers and banks and retail banks and financial planners are doing that. Depends on their size, but they use a lot of help from outside, but mostly the same help they had over the last 30 years. So the people that put them in the situation they are currently in. So what I'm saying is, guys, look out there for people that actually have solved these problems and not that made you these problems. In general, I see the rise of gig economy. Yes, but what I maybe is an interesting cultural note here, in Germany, it's not perceived as opportunity, but like, oh, you're not an employee anymore, you don't get benefits anymore, but people get fired and all the time and lose their jobs, and there's a fake idea of security of a real job. But so I see a rise here, but I think different countries have different stages of that currently all over the world.
Yes, yes, I agree with you. And you've also co-authored a book called the InsurTech book, right? Can you kind of tell us, what are the best practices in this industry, and how should people be reacting to the pandemic right now? Some precautions that they should take?
Yeah. So we have seen insurer and banks, but both, and insurers, you have also the agents out there, which are independent entrepreneurs. We have seen different types of them. You have one group that's now in their garden doing garden work or watching Netflix. And you have another group, and I have a lot of friends who are agents and brokers and bankers that are working their butts off right now. I mean, it's a bank holiday currently here, and we are here, and I know a lot of others are also here. They are thinking about, first of all, how to save their companies, then how to help their clients. How can they help their client that has a restaurant that is closed, and what can they do for them? And even if they're just there and they call them and ask them what to do, this already, and motivate them to carry on and do something and maybe change the business model and go list it into, an app where you can order that food and then deliver it. All of these things. So you have these two dramatic different groups. One that are, thinking it's some sort of vacation, and others that are really like training and pushing and moving. And you see this also with companies. You have some C-suits that are now like enjoying their home office, and you have some C-suits that are, trying to hit the ground running when it starts again. And I think we will be surprised about some smaller mid-sized insurers and banks that come out of this super strong, and others, the decay will just continue.
Yeah, that's true.
Sorry, one more thing. So if you're not in that industry, I think there's two groups you have in every industry. And if you're out there and you don't know what to do, you're scared, you're an employee, you lost your job, or you're about to lose your job, you're afraid to lose your job, or you have a company, you don't know, have suffered a lot of hits, you lost a lot of revenue. I think it's super important, if you really want to come getting stronger out of this. I mean, it's okay to have a pity party. I had a pity party for myself. I felt very sorry, for myself, all of that. But that is, it's limited. And then now massive action, go out there and try to develop new products that are, new pricing models for your companies. I had, a subscription of a software, and they sent me, if you now pay advance, we give you 50% off. I was like, hey, okay, why not? But they had the cash then to save the company, and I have a little bit of advantage. And you need to think really outside the box. Or when you're an employee, think about how can I create as much value for my company as possible, so when the big cuts come, I'm not on that list, because I did a lot for that company. And to really be active. Don't forget, also physical health and wellness, and that's something I'm really bad at. I should do more sports. And family is also super important to take some time for that, but really be conscious and be on the one side, and don't watch Netflix and Disney Plus all the time. I think that's set up for disaster.
Thank you so much for that advice. And is there anything else, any other important sound bites that you'd like to share?
One more thing, I would really encourage everybody to go out there, look for podcasts and blogs like this, try new things out, try to learn, try to educate, do this also with your partner together. Really think about yourself, but also as your family, where you want to be in a few years. What do you need to do now to achieve that? And don't forget one thing: empires are born in times of crisis. Empires are born in times of crisis. And even you don't need to want to be an empire, maybe just, flourish for you and your family, or as an individual. But it's now the time to act and seize opportunities. People are open for solutions now. They're maybe, getting your call they would not have gotten before when you can help them. So take advantage of this opportunity, and, just, leave your pity party, because it doesn't bring you anything.
Absolutely. You can have maybe, one tiny pretty party, but then you need to kind of get to work, and you can really plan a lot. And it's a very nice way to kind of put it, that you need to really emphasize on planning with your family to understand where you want to go next. And with your career, there's so many things that you can actually do right now. Makes a lot of sense. Thank you so much for that advice. And I had a wonderful time with you, Robin. Loved the conversation. Very engaging. You're a fun person, very high energy. I loved it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me here. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. Take care.